Welcome to the Pure Prison Podcast, a Society First production. My name is Shai Hillman. Before we begin, we want to give an introduction of our goals, and that is to provide a platform that identifies both the problem and the solutions to the criminal justice system. The purpose behind Pure Prison Podcast is to give a voice not only to those who have been impacted by the system, but also to those who are positively impacting the system. Society First wants to ensure that all guests feel free to express their thoughts and beliefs. With that being said, not all views and beliefs of those interviewed are necessarily the views of Society First. With that, we hope that we will inspire you to get involved, for it's only together that we will make a difference. Welcome back to Pure Prison, everyone. I am so excited. Today we have Pastor Travis in the studio. He is with Christ Fellowship. Now, Christ Fellowship is it's noted as one of the largest ministries in the nation. So please join me. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Well, hello, Pastor Travis. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Shai, thank you so much for having me on today. Super excited to be with you, with the audience and the listeners, and really just pumped to be here. I've been on staff at Christ Fellowship for about 10 years now. I've been at 3 different campuses. Christ Fellowship is a unique church. It's a multi-site church. So basically what that means is we're one church, but we have 12 different locations all throughout South Florida, as far north as Vero Beach, as far south as Boca Raton. And I'm in Port St. Lucie. So really, really excited about everything that God's doing and excited to be with you today. Come on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this. Now, you're familiar with Society First, and that's the organization that I am a part of.
Yes.
Denise, one of the founders, was actually going to Christ Fellowship, and that's how I think you guys kind of got together. And later, you were became acquainted with someone named Al, who is actually the visionary, one of the visionaries, and co-founder of Society First. Now, speaking about that, Denise, we want to spread the love and joy that Christ Fellowship has, and they are involved in prison ministries. Yeah. Now, your team went into a place called Martin Correctional, right?
Yes.
Martin CI?
Yes, that's right.
And it's deemed Murder Martin.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the program that Christ Fellowship brought to these men, and tell us a little bit about if you saw personal changes in individuals, please.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I first encountered Denise at the campus, actually, and we were in the lobby and I was connecting with people, and she came up and started talking to me about this opportunity at MCI. And at first I knew nothing about it and really could get no vision for it, to be honest with you. But Denise is like, why don't you come check it out and see the need. And so I did. And my first visit, I know we were talking a couple weeks ago, Shai, but my first visit to MCI was, it marked me because it was a situation that I had never been in before. I had never been inside the gates of a prison. And I remember I went in with a good friend of mine, Pastor Rock Cain. He is a great pastor of a great church in Fort Pierce. And so we went in, and I remember the chaplain was showing us around. He said, "Hey, I want you to see the worst of the worst. I'm going to take you into the dorm that we have the most behavior issues, et cetera." And so I remember we went into the first little entryway holding area, and the chaplain was talking to the guard there in the control room, and they were talking back and forth, and he was like, the guard said, "Hey, you can't come in today. You can't go any further. We've just had a stabbing occur in one of the dorms. We're cleaning up the blood." And I remember Rock and I just kind of looked at each other like, where are we? What is going on? But then, right, exactly. But that day I was able to interact with some of the inmates there, and I was blown away by, in the chapel specifically, just their heart to learn and grow and connect. And so Pastor Rock and I walked out of there We immediately told our senior pastor, Pastor Todd, and honestly, that was the spark that just, we started getting guys registered to be able to get in there, and we've been in there ever since.
That is amazing. Now, there's something significant that happened that I'm well aware of. I think my audience, some of them are also. Yeah. Now, it was deemed murder, Martin, and that was because there were so many stabbings. You actually, what you went in and did was a gang leadership class. Yeah. So you guys had the leaders in there, correct?
That's
How'd
right.
that feel?
That was such an amazing thing, because Pastor Rock specifically had it on his heart to spend time with literally the leaders of the different gang representation in the facility. And so he came in and spent a couple of months with these guys, and just literally during that 2-month period, the acts of violence decreased substantially during that 2-month period. And it was incredible what we saw, just because Pastor Rock was using the Bible and John Maxwell's material, books and leadership material, to walk with these guys and help teach them, just leadership principles, godly principles. Mm-hmm. And literally in that season, we saw a dramatic decrease in the acts of violence that were happening. And so that was one of the biggest things that we saw change while in our time there initially, as we jumped in.
I mean, and that's huge. Anyone that has been in prison knows that is a big deal. Yeah. That is definitely changes in attitude, changes in life.
That's right.
The process.
That's right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, there's something, I do have a question, because you're a pastor. So you have a different perspective. And I would like to know, what are your thoughts on these men have taken, some of them from society.
Yeah.
And harmed it. They've hurt, myself included. I have hurt people.
Yeah.
And what is it that you saw, or that you think you see in this social fabric that we have now that is sending so many people to prison? Do you have a perspective on that at all?
Yeah, Shai, I do. I think that's a great question. And that's a question you're going to get a lot of different opinions on. Right. There's a lot of different thoughts and opinions that people have. And every thought and opinion is based on that person's background and perspective and upbringing. And so you're talking to someone who, no one is more blessed than me. Actually, my parents are in town right now, spending some time with us. I grew up in a godly home, a Christian home, with a mother and a father that are now married 52 years. And I'm the youngest of 4 boys. I grew up in a healthy home. My parents loved me. They disciplined me. They raised me in the church. They raised me with, again, godly principles. And because of that, I was protected from so much harm and pain. But not everybody has my story. And in my conversations with a lot of the inmates over the couple of years that we've been doing prison ministry, I have found that there's one common thread with many of them, the majority, huge majority of them, and that is the breakdown of their family unit. These guys did not grow up in a home with a mom and a dad that were married and that loved and cared for them, provided for them, and disciplined them. And so they grew up with a grandma. They grew up with a single mom. They grew up, in foster care. And so honestly, for me, from my perspective, and I don't have the right perspective, the only perspective, but from my perspective, that is what you can track it to, is the breakdown of the family.
Wow. Wow. And it seems that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Against society first. We know that when one person is incarcerated, the ripple effect, like you said, now that mom is gone and that child has to live with someone else, the grandma's affected, the child's affected, the dad. It's crazy. And we need to start going back to some of the behaviors we had.
Yeah.
before.
I'll tell you this, Shai. One thing we're trying to do as a church is we're trying to fill in the gaps of society, these shortcomings, these pitfalls. And so one thing that I don't even think I've told you this, Shai, in our conversations, but one thing we've done as a church is every Christmas we reach out to children and caretakers of inmates locally here in our on the Treasure Coast. And we invite them to our church and we throw a Christmas party for them where we shower them with love and affirmation and fun and bounce houses. And we bring the caretakers into a specific room and we allow them to pick out gifts for the kids that we wrap, send them home with the gifts. So on Christmas morning, these children of local inmates that the dad or the mom can't provide Christmas gifts, we do it. We get to provide those for them and stand in the gap of, what their parents aren't able to do in that season. And so, again, that's really our calling, is to just do whatever we can to fill in the gaps.
That's exactly our goal. We can't wait to be in the communities, and we definitely love the mission, and Society First wants to be a part of the mission that you have in the ministry that Pastor Mullins has for the communities, because I personally believe that when the spirituality leaves, everything goes into chaos.
That's right.
And I know it because I experienced it. When my spirituality came back, my life started to change.
Wow.
So I know that needs to be a part of our communities and our social fabric, and we're here. I understand that you and your lovely wife have a story about some children.
We do. a lot of children, Shai. We moved to South Florida about 17 years ago, and I had a business degree. I was looking to work for Morgan Stanley. I was seeing dollar signs. I wanted to make big money. And God showed me real quick that wasn't in my future. And so I remember we were at Christ Fellowship one day, and we see in the bulletin that this local organization by the name of Place of Hope, which is a faith-based foster care agency, they were looking for house parents to live in a home with 6 boys and take care of them. These are foster kids out of the system. And so Jen and I raised our hand. We jumped in, we applied, we were eventually hired. And so for 8 years, we parented about 35 to 40 different kids in the same home. Kids were in and out. They were reunified, or, they aged out of the system at 18. And so we were there for about 8 years caring for those kids. And then when we started having our own kids, we transitioned out of that, and we started having foster kids in our own home, personal home. We had probably 6 or 7 kids before we got a call one night about a little boy who was at St. Mary's Hospital, and his mom birthed him there, left him there, actually unnamed. The mom did not name him. And so they called us, and there was nowhere else for this little boy to go. And so at 7 days, he came to our house, and he has been living with us ever since. We adopted him when he was 10 months old. We named him Malachi Samuel, and Malachi means God's messenger. And we named him that for a very specific reason, because we believe that God has very special things for him in his life. And so now he's 5 years old, going into kindergarten in just a couple of weeks. And so, we have a bit of a story ourselves.
That is amazing. Amazing. And you're right there, because I did an interview with Pastor Rock Cain, and you're also on my stomping ground right there. So this really, really, it's close to my heart. And what you just said about the Chris, I just can't get off of my mind now, because it's amazing, and it's personal to me.
Yeah.
Because that's my community.
That's right.
So it has been amazing looking at the things that Christ Fellowship has done and what you're doing in the communities, what you're doing in the prisons. Now, you said that the prison ministry is still going forward, correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're in there currently. It's pretty cool. If I could take a step back a little bit, Shai, and tell you, it was a few years ago that Pastor Todd heard about from some peer churches and some peer ministries across the country, Church of the Highlands, also Gateway Church in Dallas. You had heard about these churches launching actual campuses inside prisons, and thought, hey, I want to do that too. So he really cast a vision for us to begin this. And so we started meeting at Martin Correctional. And so currently where we're at now is on Saturday mornings, our team from our campus, from Port St. Lucie campus, is in MCI. We bring in a weekend message. We connect with the guys. We spend about 2.5 hours with the guys every Saturday morning, worshiping together, learning together, studying God's word together. And then on Sunday morning, we have a different team that goes into Okeechobee Correctional Institute, and they're having a church service on Sunday nights, every Sunday night. And so this has become a rhythm. So now we have 2 campuses literally in 2 prisons right here on the Treasure Coast. And it is absolutely incredible what we are seeing. And I know it's Pastor Todd's heart to continue to launch these types of campuses in more and more facilities across the state of Florida. So we're just getting started.
Amazing. And very quickly, while we're talking about changes, I do want to note that the new Secretary Mark Inch, he's at the helm right now. He has, from my perspective, and I will say that, my perspective, brought change and hope and restoration back into these prisons. And like I said before, SF, we want to bring that vision. We want to help with this ministry in any way we can. So you let us know what we need to do.
Thank you. All
right. Is there anything?
It's partnerships like this that I feel like are critical to expanding our reach, expanding our influence, and honestly, like specifically your program, expanding just awareness. Because again, like I said, the first time I went to MCI, I had never stepped foot in. I mean, I'm 30, so I was 36 years old at the time. Never stepped foot in a facility. Had no idea what it is. Had never interacted with these inmates. And now, when I go in, I literally hug every single inmate in that chapel. We're connecting, we're praying together. These guys are thirsty for connection. They're thirsty for the word of God, and we have the privilege of bringing it to them.
They're ready for change.
They are.
Second chances. You know, we're not a crime. I always say that. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you for coming into the studio today and sharing the word, the ministry that you guys have. Hopefully I'll be able to talk to Pastor Mullins. We are on board. If we can help, like I said, let us know.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be putting up all the links for Pastor Travis and Christ Fellowship.
Well, thank you, Shai. Keep doing what you're doing, girl. You're doing an awesome job, and we couldn't be more excited about everything that God's doing through you.
Thank you so very much. I'll keep y'all in my prayers too.
All righty. Thank you. See you soon.
Welcome. Well, everyone, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be able to bring this out, make you aware, and just enjoy a little bit of lightness. You know, a lot of change is coming. Are you ready? Remember, peace or pain. It's your choice. Have a good one.